Anthony Bologna.
Here.
Natalie Scholl. Jason Ward.
Here.
James Godwin.
Here.
Scott Lakin.
Thank you. Okay. A copy of the last meeting's minutes, and we have a motion to approve.
I did have a question on, I think the one I received an email had Commissioner Nolte on the minutes. Oh, that was fit, okay. That was my only question. There we go, thank you.
Is that also a second on the motion?
That's now a second on the motion.
Okay, all in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Accept those. And move on to item number 4, public comments. Any public comments?
And probably should point out, if you have public comments about a specific item that you know we're going to talk about in Article 3, for example, it's probably better to take it at that point so we're getting the right context. If you have a different public comment or a general public comment, now would be at the time for that.
Thank you for clarifying.
Yeah.
Is there,
Wait till you get to the part that.
sure.
Yeah.
Is there anybody that has a general comment that would like to speak before we get started? No, okay. Yes?
If the public comments come on through the website, will you guys let us know?
Yes, and I think Damon and I, well, I know Damon and I talked earlier today. I think he said he might have received one.
Just one, but it's something that they're talking about later on in the agenda.
Okay, so who is going to, do you have it that you can read
I do
it?
have it, yeah, but it came after, so we're doing Tuesday to Tuesday. So anything between yesterday and next Tuesday, I'll give it to you guys next week. But it doesn't reference, the topic it references is further down in your guys' schedule.
So it's not Articles 2 or 3,
No.
it's later?
Correct.
Okay, perfect.
All right, so the next item on, item number 5, the next thing up is Article 2. Damon's got some information for us because I have 2 sections, 207 and 205, that we had asked for some additional information on. So we'll hold on that until he gets here, and we'll jump forward to Article 3. Everybody have that? We will start with section 301 and open it up to comment to the committee if anyone has any comments or discussion.
I just had a request. Do you all have a organizational chart?
Yes, I think Damon definitely has one, yeah.
Could I get a copy of that? So I know how county government's laid out.
Of course. Would everyone like one? You do have it? It's online? Okay. So it's online, but if you want a different printed copy, we can get that. We might be able to get it for you.
Can we get a copy for everybody?
Yeah. When he gets here, or Brandy, do you know where it is?
Okay, so we'll track that down for everyone, please.
Yeah.
Okay, so I don't see any comment from the committee.
So I
Oh,
do.
I'm sorry,
Yeah,
I'm sorry, go ahead.
I do have a question about section 301.
Yes, sir.
The very last sentence says the county administrator shall be hired by a majority vote of the entire membership of the commission, including the presiding commissioner. So, is this the only time outside of when a supermajority is needed that the presiding commissioner votes? Unless there's a tie, right?
Definitely a tie, definitely supermajority. I think this may be the only other time where he casts a vote, or the presiding commissioner casts a vote under the Constitution. I think that's right.
Okay, and so then in this case, it's not a supermajority required to hire.
Yes, that's correct. It's
Okay.
a majority to hire with all 7 voting, and as my recollection is, to terminate, it's a supermajority, so all 5 out of the 7.
So supermajority then is like 60%?
I think it's 2/3. So I think if I recall the way we
Okay.
set it up, it's 5 out of 7.
Okay, so hiring 4,
Yeah,
firing 5.
correct.
Okay, thanks.
Anything else?
Yep, I mean, no, that clears it up.
Is there anyone else that has comment on the committee? Okay, I don't see any, so I'm going to open it up to the public, if anyone from the public on section 301. And I don't see any response to that, so I'm going to move on to section 302. So
Yeah, I have a question. Do we have a definition of what the prolonged absence would be? What qualifies as a prolonged absence?
Where are we? We probably don't, but it would be definitely just, kind of a reasonableness standard. If not vacation, for example, but if, injury, FMLA, he's entitled to take FMLA, but if he were, then obviously this would kick in as well.
Anything else?
Yeah, I also have a question on there. So the fourth word is designate. Last week we talked a lot about appoint. So is there a difference between designate, appoint?
Not necessarily. I mean, I think they both, in this case, it's just, we would usually, we tend to use the word appoint when we're talking about elected officials and their duties, but there's not a substantive difference that makes much difference,
Okay.
in my view.
Is there something operationally that talks about how this occurs?
No, typically what would happen, it hasn't happened yet, but what I would expect would happen is, let's say Damon's going to have surgery. He's going to be out for a month. He would, send an email designating this person, for example. That's what I would expect.
Oh, he would.
I'm sorry. No, that's right. No, yeah, the commission. That's right. Yep. Yeah, the commission would do that.
Okay.
Anyone else on 302? I don't see any, so we'll open that up to the public then, section 302. Any comment from the public? I don't see any, so we will move on to section 303, powers and duties, and open that up to the committee for discussion and comment. Anything on, we'll continue to refer to it as the north side, I guess, for lack of a better term. Anything? I don't see anything. North side, I don't see anything. I'll open it up to the public.
And I'm sorry, Anthony, is this for the entire 303
Well,
or just 303A?
I had just said 303, so it was, I guess, I'll just leave it open to the entire 303.
Okay.
at this point. So when I said 303, that includes the entire section, A through N. Anybody A through N? Okay, I don't see any from the committee, and so we'll open it up to the public on section 303 all the way through. Anything from the public?
So if nobody has anything, so one thing that, this is one of the few areas of the Constitution that I would like to at least present an idea and you guys can discuss. I've talked about this with Damon, who thought it seemed like a good idea. One of the things that we've done since the brand-new commission took office several years ago is really focus on efficiency and moving more, agilely when it comes to dealing with the public and things of that nature. And I'm glad to see the Chief Efficiency Commissioner is here. One thing we've talked about that I think might make sense, or at least I think it's worth a discussion, is empowering the county administrator to execute smaller contracts, like pick a number and under, provided they are, approved by purchasing, provided they are budgeted, otherwise budgeted, so that very small contracts don't have to wait their turn to get through the commission and go through that process, that a small contract can be approved immediately. The other two thoughts that I had, I think, would be the same kind of concept for budget transfers, small budget transfers that are within the budget. And the third concept that I thought would be worthwhile would be grant applications. More than once, we get a grant notice that needs to be returned in a matter of just a few days, and we have to scramble because it typically would require some commission approval. So I don't know how, I'm glad we've got 3 commissioners here. I'd love some feedback on that as well. But the idea of smaller contracts, maybe smaller budget transfers and grant applications to empower the county administrator to be able to maybe do those things. So again, we can move more efficiently through the process. And so I don't know if anybody has any thoughts on that, but I was hoping we might have a discussion about that. And, well, I'll let Anthony take over.
Well, with that,
That's the first thing.
Dave brought up,
What?
That's the first thing.
I'll start us with the.
No, we're almost done. I mean, we're just on, they've been following, they didn't go through everything in 2.
I just got a couple quick questions. I understand that we did it at the state level and as well as down in Jackson County, that we looked at those thresholds of when you have to get it approved by the legislature versus letting the county administrator apply the paper clips and do the smaller contracts and that kind of thing. I think there's some merit in that. The other question I had of you, Kevin, is we're looking at the Constitution of the county, but there's a lot of things that, from an ordinance standpoint, or and what I would say is I'm counting on you to let us know when something we're discussing and trying to put into a constitution is covered already by the county ordinance, which is a lot harder to, or a lot easier to change an ordinance than it is to change a constitution.
Correct. And right now, actually, the Constitution requires that all contracts go through the county commission and be signed by their presiding officer. So we take that to heart, and everything goes up in front of the commission. You know, after several years of doing it, it feels to me like this is an efficiency, again, with certain guardrails in place that would make some sense, and let the commission focus on the really important policy issues, the bigger contracts, the bigger issues. But as you say, the paper clips, maybe they don't need to vote on, but that's for your consideration.
But I'm just saying that, there's a difference between changing the Constitution and then getting that approved by the vote of the people, but then also ordinances that have been proposed and passed through the legislature that might cover the same things we're trying to put more into the Constitution, where it's a lot harder to change it and stuff.
Yeah, so I see this as a authority line for the administrator in this section. And understand, this is my idea, this is not Damon's. So I think from an authority standpoint, I think to do this, it would need to be, it would probably need to be changed in the Constitution. So.
So what parameters are you thinking? And I know with the police budget, we had the same thing with budget stuff. I think it was over 50,000.
So like with contracts, I would probably say it needs to be budgeted, it needs to be a bit essentially proper purchasing and certified by the auditor. Those are certainly guardrails, right? Those are the statutory ones we have, right? You're supposed to do that anyway. I don't have a strong thought or suggestion on the amount, other than I might throw out around 50,000. But I don't have a strong thought on that one. I don't really, on the budget transfers, I don't know what would make sense. Again, properly budgeted, but maybe I might actually rely on Damon for that concept. What would make sense to move administratively versus through the commission? Because we get some big changes in our budget that have to go through the commission, and they're appropriate to go through the commission. So I don't have a strong sense on that. On grant applications, I would probably say something that again is essentially a budgeted item. Again, probably some monetary cap of the county's portion of any grant. Again, maybe 50, I don't know. And probably most grants are a match. And so if it's a 90-10 match where the federal government's paying 90 or the state's paying 90 and we're paying 10%, I would say that's good. Maybe 80-20 is good. When we get to a point like it's like 50-50, those are more policy decisions in my mind for the commission. But something like that, like grant applications that are where the county portion is under 50 and the county match is under 20% or lower. Some concept like that makes sense to me. But you know, I'll leave, again, I don't want to push too much on this. I just want to hear people, you know, have everybody have a discussion about it.
What are your, I mean, if we set it at like 50,000, if we try to set a monetary in 20 years, 50,000 maybe.
Yep.
So is there a way that y'all would suggest wording that to avoid attaching it, maybe it's not possible, to a dollar amount to some other basis so that we're not revisiting or asking future?
Yeah, I mean, there's some language in the statutes about, unfortunately, the statutes have the same problem in the Missouri statutes, and their numbers are incredibly low. So,
Also easier to change.
at the statutory level. So it's like 12,000 or something, so it doesn't help, and it doesn't move very well at all. The legislature doesn't get around to analyzing that, and right now, there's almost nothing we buy that is under that. You know, I don't know, I mean, you could set some escalator, you know, I don't know what that is. But I mean, because I had the same thought. I don't have a great way to peg it to a number other than,
Wouldn't it be possible to take whatever the portion of the budget is right now and figure out how many of those we want to be in the future attaching it to? Take it percentage-wise
a percentage of the budget?
and tie it to that? So if it's 1%, 2% of your budget, and that's your spending level for those authorized.
Our budget's over
Yeah.
100 million, right?
Well, it's
rather
depending,
than
I
a
mean, because we got,
specific dollar amount,
yeah,
would be difficult.
specific dollar amount would probably be the best, because with our percentage on our budget between us and collecting, you're talking, there's over 160 million. But that's also not including that we go through our coffers regarding the ones we go and pay out to districts. So that's more like 400 million. So, but we could look at it a little closer, look at some other language on it. I mean, I've seen everything from 30 to 50,000. Typically, though, most tie those budget items to the transfer. So whatever transfer budget items be about the same. So it'd be the same threshold. I think that's an easy call to make it the same threshold. But as far as amounts, let me work through that a little bit, because I can look to see what we have done in the past year plus on transactions and see how many items have been signed, and look through our items on that one, because I've been here a few months, but for the most part, mostly everything has went through the commission. Smaller things we got is anything up under 12,000, and we don't get many of those. Those are pretty much contracts you may get for, like he said, not so much paper clips, but for smaller items. But for us, a lot of times, those amounts are probably more tied to contracts when we do RFPs or something like that. Not many of our construction projects are within that amount. If they are, it's probably more of a item we do with facilities, which is more of an on-call situation, which we do have certain triggers within our emergency contracts to do those. But for the most part, I'll have to look to see what those triggers could be like.
So is there anything in here that doesn't allow this to occur currently, other than 2.08 H for the presiding commissioner, where it says sign if authorized by law or the commission all contracts and other documents? Is there anything else in here that
Well, I mean, I think
doesn't allow this to happen?
not in here, but, you know, generally in the statutes, there's no provision for the county administrator to execute on behalf of the county. And, you know, I mean, because to be honest, the state statutes don't really presume that a county administrator even exists, because most of the 114 counties, you know, I bet there aren't more than 8 or 9 county administrators. I mean, most of them are very, very small, very, very rural counties. So, I mean, I don't know if the commissioners want to add anything, jump up and add anything to it. And
Are we done with committee comments? Is anybody else from the committee
Have some information on those benefits.
okay, so I think we're going to finish 3, and we may even be
All right,
done
then
and come
let's-
back to it. Yeah.
Well, let's open to the public comment. If you guys have anything to say. Sure. If you don't mind, if you step up. Of course.
Yeah.
If you state your name, if you go on the other side.
Gotcha.
I apologize, I would step out. And
different perspective altogether. Jerry Nolte? Thank you. I want to say that what Scott was saying anticipated an awful lot of what my thoughts were on this. I think that these are, as far as they are procedural, I think that the commission can handle a lot of this through ordinance, whether there's some very broad umbrella or broad limitation that is way up there. But I think as long as it's ordinance, that means that the commission has deliberation in view of the public to make those determinations and are able to empower or delegate more accurately to the administrator. I think having some kind of enabling language is probably not a bad idea. Strict limits, unless they're like attached to an inflation accelerator, are going to get a little bit tricky. But by and large, I think that I think that would be a good idea. And I think the other part of that would be, and this is better handled through ordinance as opposed to constitution, and that is that there would be a reporting process in ordinance where the county administrator would then report and maybe even categorize the slightly larger ones, break them away. But I think those are issues best handled in a public discussion that is more dynamic with the general public taking their stand on it as well. Thank you.
Thank you. Sure. Thank you.
Well, this is just me.
What do you say your name?
Oh, I'm sorry. I thought everyone knew me. Joanne Lawson, Eastern Commissioner at Large. Here's how I feel. We're lucky right now. We have a phenomenal administrator, trustworthy, trust him with my life. We don't know what's going to happen down the road. You start making changes in here. I know a lot of thought was given to this and why it is as it is. I don't think that it quite frankly, needs to change. Once you start saying, well, let's set a limit on this, let's set a limit on that, it starts getting a little convoluted, and we're getting down in the weeds with all of that. Here's the bottom line. We were elected, number one, on being very fiscally responsible. And I think no matter what comes across our desks, that we go ahead and have to have a hand in getting it approved. If there were an easy way, we could say, oh, okay, Damon, if it's under $1,000, just do it. But when we're here, we come here once a week for us to make those decisions. If it's a page and a half instead of a half a page, and we get out of here at 6:15 instead of 7 o'clock, one day a week isn't going to kill us to be here a little bit longer. So for my money, we continue to do as we are doing, and then down the road, if things change, Damon wins the lottery and goes away, and we get somebody that isn't as trustworthy, then what do? Have to scramble to get this all redone again? So I say leave it alone. I think it's fine the way it is. Trust him, but we make those decisions all the time. That's what you paid us to do.
Thank you. Anybody else?
Staring at me like that, I'll say something.
I thought you gave me a look earlier than you were coming, but I didn't mean to force it.
That's okay. Jay Johnson, Clay County Commissioner. So really undermining this is kind of the struggle that takes place. I guess I'll back up and tell you a little bit about my background. So I spent 30 years on what I call the working side of government, like what he's on, and now I'm on the political side of government. On the working side, I spent most of my time as a police chief, but I was also an acting city manager for some time, so I understand that side of it. And one of the things we struggled with from the working side is having politicians who didn't know the first thing about running a city, first thing about running a county, but tried to run the city or the county. Tried to get their hands in on operational things and daily operations that it's really none of their business. They're more policy makers. It's kind of like the police board of commissioners. Their job isn't to run the police, but they're not the police chief. They're much higher level than that. And sometimes you get some people in these positions that want to have too much hands-on and don't allow this guy or girl to do their job. And so there certainly has to be some checks and balances in place to make sure that he or she's not giving, at the county administrator level, is not giving too much leeway. There's no checks and balances. There's got to be some checks and balances there, but I think it goes the other way as well, that he's got to be able to do his job. He's got to have the leeway to do his job, and it doesn't have to be Mother May I every time I want to, pull out $5, to buy something in a vending machine. It's got to be, and right now we have some ordinances in place. I think it's a $12,000, 90 days you can spend without our approval. Could certainly apply that to contracts and maybe even, I think, grants. I don't know what grants are at, but there does need to be some kind of system, and maybe, like Scott said, we do that internally. I don't know the answer to this, whether this has to do with the Constitution or not. I'm just telling you what the issues are, and you guys can figure that out. But one of the issues I found on that side of the table was the roadblocks that would happen, having to wait for the politicians to make a decision on, say, a grant application, and the grant application is going to expire. It's like, we don't have time to wait for 2 weeks for you guys to meet and get your act together and figure this out and have more questions and come back later because you didn't have time to read it before. We got to move on this now. Some of those things you just got to say, you know what? We trust this guy to run the county. He's the guy running the county. Let him make some of those decisions. And so what the answer is, I don't know, but that's kind of the struggle that we have. And I'm a big believer of, hey, let's hire the guy that we think can run the county and let him run it. And if we don't think he can run it, well, then let's get someone else to run it. So anyways, that's all I have. Any questions of me?
Thank you.
Okay.
I got it.
Or did you have a question?
No, not for the commissioner. Yeah, for you. Or I guess probably for Kevin. What in the Constitution would prevent that from occurring now, you said?
I'm sorry.
What would prevent him from being able to sign contracts now?
Well, I think probably a couple things. One is, the state statutes don't necessarily particularly allow for it.
We can't.
But specifically, so if you were to make a change like this, we would also need to change presiding commissioner duties to add just a language that says, unless authorized by this Constitution. But that would be 208H, I think.
H.
Yeah.
But really, the presiding commissioner can sign the document any day of the week or any time. This doesn't say it has to be done at a weekly meeting or, right? The presiding commissioner just needs to sign off on the contract. And you're saying
Yeah, so I think right now our general approach is the county commission approves those contracts. The presiding officer, typically the presiding commissioner, then signs those contracts. And there are certainly times when efficiency would, I think, help for lower level contracts or a certain threshold to allow those to move through the system without the delay of, there are times, at most, I think probably the longest we'll go is about 3 weeks. Like this year, Christmas and New Year's was on a Thursday, so we went 3 weeks without a meeting. We typically meet every week, but we went 3 weeks. And certainly there are times that the presiding commissioner is on vacation or out or for any number of reasons not available. So again, that's just my thought, is it would make some sense to, within the Constitution, empower the county administrator to be able to move, more efficiently through that process.
I do think it makes sense for you guys to be able to move forward and approve contracts probably without going to the whole body every single time. But on the other side, it'd probably also be nice if the commissioner, at least one check and balance, there would still be having the presiding sign it or give some approval, but whether that be by signing or electronically or whatever that may be. I know they're on vacation, but if you could get some sort of go ahead. But I don't know, I'm just throwing ideas. I know it's a very open idea here, but trying to balance all the things, which is impossible to do sometimes, but we try. But yeah, I'm open to the idea of enabling the county administrator.
Like I said, the guardrails at a minimum that I would suggest would be a dollar threshold. They have to essentially have been properly purchased because there are very specific purchasing statutes. They have to be budgeted, within the budget framework, so that so you just can't go out and buy the county administrator himself a new car because he wants one, right? There's got to be a process.
Also, to some of the comments we got a second ago, I think it also makes sense. If you leave a lot of the rulemaking probably up to the body itself, allow them to set those thresholds rather than etch this in.
What you could do, you could say, I mean, gosh, the simplest thing might be to say, empower the the county administrator to enter into such contracts, grant applications, and budget transfers as authorized by the county commission. And then at any time, so that goes to whoever raised the very smart issue about money, you know, if we're going to raise his authorization up from 30 to 40 or 40 to 50 or 70 to 90, whatever, but each commission.
It'd be evolving based
Yeah,
on.
and at the moment that the county commission says, you know, you're not probably handling this right, we're going to pull back and we're going to change it. You could do that where you just allow the authorization to happen in here, and then the ongoing body at any time adjust it. And often they might adjust it through the contract. So, for example, year 8 of Damon Hodges, who, you know, several years from now has a ton of trust and has shown a remarkable expertise, probably gets a little more leeway, but whenever Damon retires and we hire somebody brand new, maybe we pull it back down just to put the training wheels back on a little bit. So that would be a simple way to do it, and maybe address some of those concerns that at any time you can just say, you know, he's authorized pursuant to the authority given to him by the commission. That would be an approach.
Does anybody on the committee have
Do you like that?
thoughts?
Like that.
Like the idea, not like the idea? I like the idea. That's all right. What's that? I like that. Yeah. What do you guys?
I think we should have that drafted up and
Yeah.
come back.
Can we table, I think we have a consensus that we like that idea.
Okay,
Can we table it and have you bring some language?
Sure.
To the next meeting so that we can approve it and go with it? Do you need any more thought or direction? I mean, you came up with the idea, but from the committee?
no, I think so. I think that's,
Was there anything else from the public? Now that that's kind of a little bit of a new twist on things. Anything else from the public? Anybody want?
I just have one question that.
Sorry. Would you say your name, please?
My name is Rita Richards, and I think my group, that what we are concerned about Article 5, specifically 5.04, so I think we might have gotten some misinformation that would be covered tonight, so I was just wanting to clarify if you were going to cover Article 5 tonight.
We are not.
Okay, that's what I thought, so we came on the wrong day, we got some misinformation, so we'll be back, but it is nice.
Any comments on the current discussion?
Well, I think it's very interesting, and I'm glad to see the due diligence that everyone is taking here to try to get this right. And I do really believe that when you have someone that's trusted, that's all good, but you know, they're not always going to be here, so you do need to have things in place for the future and to just make sure that the government keeps running smoothly.
Thank you.
Uh-huh. Thank you.
Anybody else from the public on the topic?
Do you think N is the same thing as D?
So I do have one point that comes to mind based on a comment from Mr. Nolte. So
Thank you all for coming.
I do think having a public aspect of this is important. So not only the commission setting that limit and being able to adjust that limit, but how do we ensure that that's done in a way that is open and clear to the public, right? So that
So something in the proposed language that would include the changes to that go before the commission and a public hearing and.
right.
Are you talking
Like,
about
but
like maybe?
it's
Yeah, I like the idea
Yeah.
that you said that the commission can set it, but if the commission, decides, hey, it's gonna be 500,000, how do I, as a person in the public, know that now this commission gave an individual that ability to decide on their own, right?
Yeah.
So I just wonder how
It's,
that aspect comes.
it's a public process for sure,
Okay.
and it's going to be a public record.
Okay.
And that would include his contract. You're just, it's going to be out there. I mean, I would be reluctant to want to put a process that guarantees that in the Constitution,
Okay.
particularly since a contract has a personnel nature to it. We wouldn't necessarily hash out all of that in public, but we would, the document itself would be public. But I can tell you, obviously, having been with a bunch of commissions over the years, it is extraordinarily unlikely that a county commission would abdicate significant authority to the county administrator. They would certainly, again, simple stuff that keeps the government moving efficiently. I think everybody would say that's a good idea, or at least most people would, but significant authority, I just wouldn't see.
And we'll probably also look at it regarding our purchasing policy, our grant policies, so those will also have to be updated to include that information, so that all those will go through public scrutiny before they're voted on by the commission and then set forth for our employees to follow. So then they'll know what to follow from
So
there.
then it should be clearer for those that
Yeah.
want to know.
Yeah, so if it's increased in due time, or if something's changed, it has to go back, because I got to take that policy, then institute it with all my employees, so they'll know what to do and what not to do regarding that.
Okay. Thanks.
Good question.
Anything else? No. Anything else down on this side?
The one I highlighted too is promote partnerships with commission staff, citizens, and development policy and building new sense.
Okay, anything else from the public?
That's kind of straightforward.
I don't
I
see
don't know
that,
what they
so
thought that
we'll
was.
let's move on to section 304, 3.04, removal. And let's open that up first to the committee. Anybody has any comments on section 3.04? I don't see any, so I'm going to then, let's open it up to the public. 304. I don't see any there either. So I guess we're done with section 3.
I think so. And understand, I think there will, at least, we haven't talked about this, I don't think, but my vision is our last meeting may be longer, and we'll probably come back and review anything, all of these. And if you've had, I thought about it some more, and I want to talk about 3.04 again, or 2.06, or whatever, there will be that opportunity, and I think that's essential. And so our last meeting will probably say the entire document, and that will be a kind of a cleanup time for anybody to go through. So this isn't your only chance, obviously, for any specific issue.
Okay, so we had put off section 2 because we had a couple items in 05 and 07, I believe, that you guys were going to put together some information for us to consider. So if we can at this point, let's gain one.
Yes.
Open that up.
I'm not getting enough copies though. One of the questions you asked, let's look at the retirement first. And you asked about retirement benefits.
Are you going to do 05 or 07 first?
Let me see. I think we're on 07. We're on 07. And so went back to find out that they do have SURF benefits, which is, so remember I told you the county has 2 retirement programs. One is SURF, which is a county one, and the other one, which is a county of all counties within the state of Missouri. The other one is Missouri Loggers. And so SURF requires an 8-year vesting, and Missouri Loggers call it 5-year vesting. So after this was done, I don't know if you know about this, but after the Constitution was put in place and those commissioners were selected, SURF made a determination they still had to be investing into their retirement program. That's what I was told. And they have to provide themselves. They provide a contribution through their funds of, let me see, she put this here.
Sorry, Damon, when you say they and their, I'm not sure.
Oh,
Are you
got you.
talking about the commissioners or you're talking about?
The commissioners.
Okay.
The commissioners. So that's what I'm looking through because I just got this information.
Because there's a match, right? The employee has to put money in and then there's a match David, isn't it if you
Let me read,
don't vest, you get to keep the part you put in, but the part that the county put in, you don't? I don't know.
I think that's right.
Yeah, so what it says here, that when it came back in 2021, an email that was sent in 2021, for the SERF's purposes, elected officials are always considered full-time employees regardless of how the county classifies them, which is being part-time or full-time. If these employees work in a loggers county but are not considered loggers eligible, they're non-logger employees required to pay 6% contributions to SERF. They are still considered full-time SERF purposes due to elected official status. Any employees hired full-time at the later, don't worry about that part, that's regarding licks. So they're paying 6% of their salaries, meaning the commissioners pay 6% of their salaries into SERF currently. And after 8 years, if they are not elected for 8 years, that 6% that they contributed comes back to them. Go ahead, what did you ask, James?
Well, so then this isn't accurate, I guess, where it says the 6th district commissioners shall not be entitled to any benefits, including health insurance and retirement benefits. So
We need to change it.
they are
Getting a retirement benefit.
retirement benefits.
Or potentially, the problem is it's only,
Half of the retirement. They're not getting loggers, they are getting SERF.
they can get served, but it's only after they're here for 8 years.
Right.
So not all of them, if you decide not to run for another, or you don't get elected for 2 terms, you don't receive it.
And you said they put in 6%, but then the county puts in?
Nothing. They do not match those.
No match.
They just put, yes, on SERF is just strictly what's being put in by the elected officials.
And they can't opt out of the SERF right now?
They cannot opt out. No,
They
as,
keep the money regardless of how long they're in it.
Yeah, but then what does
Yes,
vesting count
yes.
for? If it's your own money and you get it back, what happens when you're vested? If
when
you're-
you're vested, after 8 years, if you're vested, then you get the interest and then you get a retirement benefit when you're able to retire. If you don't go past the 8 years and get invested, they return your funds back to you, meaning SERF does.
Okay.
They just give it.
Yes.
So after 8 years, the county does put money in?
After 8 years, you just get the interest that's come by SERF. SERF is a fund that's created to provide retirement benefits. So they have interest on there along with other items that they provide you. So, but still, it's not a contribution from the county.
Mr. Chair.
Yes, sir. Scott.
Damon, is it 6% or up to 6%?
It says here, non-logger employees are required to pay 6% contributions to SERF.
And then it's the county's decision on whether they want to match it or anything like that, right?
I'm not sure about that one. I'm not sure. There's no match to that one.
It's not a match, or it can't be?
So normally, and as an investment advisor, normally in retirement plans, when you're vested, there is a match. And normally, it says, it might be 8 years to be fully vested, but if you leave after 4, you might get half of that. There's usually a scale on that. Is there,
I don't think that's right for SERF.
not for SERF? Okay.
There's just no match, period.
I think it sounds like it's no match for a commissioner. They put, you get elected today, you put in your 6% every paycheck. There's no county match. If you stay in office for 8 years, you're now vested. You will continue to put in your 6% as long as you are a county commissioner. At the point in time that you reach your vesting age, which I think is 62, or your retirement age, excuse me, then you can receive that benefit directly from SERF.
With everything that's earned over that time frame. At
Well-
the 8-year mark, you did what's earned.
At the 8-year mark, you're now entitled to receive something when you retire. You don't get it at 8 years, you get it when you retire.
Sure.
And I don't know that it's tied to your contribution as much as whatever formula SERF is using to calculate your benefit.
So Kevin, I'm just having a hard time because it doesn't seem like that's really a benefit.
I can't hear you.
I said it just doesn't seem like that's really a benefit if they're putting in 6% and,
Well, so when this was done 6 years ago, the approach from that group was no benefits, right? For associate commissioners, no benefits. after it took effect, apparently, SURF said, well, under our rules, we think we still have to do it. And that's the rub, is SURF decided, even though you've got a constitution, even though you voted on it, even though it says no benefits, that doesn't really, we don't think that applies to us, so we feel compelled to say you get at least the ability, you're in this benefit. Now, loggers apparently doesn't do that. The loggers says, it says no benefit, so no benefit.
Yeah, the logger's benefit is based off the amount of hours, and if you don't work more than 1,000 hours, they do not offer that benefit as retirement.
So really what you're paying for, Kevin, is professional management of your investment, right, or your retirement?
I mean, it's retirement benefits.
Until you're 8 years, you're vested after 8 years, right?
Yeah, yes, but it's not like a mutual fund where you only get to pull what you put in. It's a retirement fund, so I think, at least the way I understand SURF, there's a calculation based upon your high 3 and your years of service, and that's what you get. Yeah, defined benefit.
And
I know at the state level, Jerry can back me up on this, but I think it's the last 3 years you serve, that determines what your retirement plan would be.
I've been taking it a while, so for a while, yes, I agree with you.
We're checking into something now. I noticed they also have a 401 savings plan account. So I'm having to clarify on that, what that exactly is. Meaning commissioners. So in this one here, I'm only referring to commissioners regarding their retirement. So, and see what is on the 401A account. If we're contributing, you asked earlier if we contribute or not, that's why I'm verifying if we contribute or not on that 401 account. No, it would be up under SURF as well. They manage it for us, but it's an account that we can contribute directly to them, which means the county would contribute directly for the commissioner's retirement plan. And we're going to verify that with the HR department.
That's all already happening.
That is, and although that came in 2021 of January, it looks like there was some communication afterwards that determined that SURF required them still to be contributors, but also receive the benefit after 8 years of being vested. And so they got some other things they're trying to clarify for me on that.
Okay. So, Kevin, do we need to add language? I mean, sorry.
Well,
is that something that we need to address?
I think, I do, I think so. So if you want to give commissioners benefits, so I think the question is, yes, benefits, no benefits. If you don't, right, so you can leave it alone and they get some benefits, but
Do we need to account for that before we move on to whether we want to add benefits?
No.
Do we need to account for what they're already receiving unintentionally?
no, I don't think so. But if you want to address the benefits issue more head-on, the primary issue might be health insurance, access to that. But then there's also, if you were to say yes to benefits, that would include health insurance and loggers. And that's.
So for practically speaking and for moving forward and trying to get something done here, we're kind of out of the loop on the SURF regarding.
I think so, yeah.
But we need to decide, I guess we might want some of those answers to know exactly what they're getting out of that before we make a decision as to whether we want to add retirement on top of it, and then healthcare.
I guess the question for me is, what's it costing the county, right? Like, so, I mean, if the answer is
The health
nothing-
insurance has a cost, for sure.
No, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I think you're talking about everything, or you're talking about SURF?
So certainly in the end, we're talking about everything, but in this case, if you say, hey, SURF, and the long-term benefit of SURF does not cost the county anything, okay, then, that's a benefit, that's fine. Loggers, it seems like there's some hour limitations that
There's some contribution.
allow us, but
Yeah.
then that's the same question. Okay, well, if we say yes to that, what's it cost the county, right?
Just like health.
And then healthcare, what's it cost the county? Yeah.
And that's why I think that's why we tabled it, and so do we have answers to the costs on those two things?
Well, if we do loggers, it costs the county close to $50,000. It's 6% contribution, will all come from the county to the commissioners, and that is $50,528.55. That's probably a monthly, that's probably an annual cost, because it's 6% of your salary.
So what you said is
For SURF, if they're not vested for 8 years, we have to.
I know this might sound a little strange,
The county
but-
pays 4,
Right,
the
okay.
commissioner pays 2%. If they don't become vested, they get their money back, and we get our percentage back as a credit. And then she said same for the 401A savings. Same thing, if they don't get vested, then they get all their contributions back.
She has your 0.7 into the 401 savings. I wonder if that's.
7%, it's not 0.7, it's 7%.
Why does she got a period there? That's the part.
Okay.
All right, got more information. The county does pay 4%, it's a total of 6% for SURF. The county pays 4% of that, and the commissioner pays 2%. But if they do not get vested within 8 years, or they don't get 2 terms, we get our 4% back, and they get their 2% back. Not by choice, yeah. It's automatic. It's, so SURF is automatic. It's a older county vested program that allows us, so in order for that, they did 2 ways. They both had to SURF and they do loggers. Because honestly, with just SURF, the amount that they pay out for retirement would not be enough. So, but it's been around for quite some time. It does offer other opportunities with us, which is 401As and our 457s. And so they manage those for us as well. But that's something that's optional, but not a requirement.
So you're not asking what the cost then to the county is for SURF?
Yeah, for 2%. So to say SURF employer cost is $12,175.56. And that's currently,
That's the 4%?
yes, that's 4%.
You said for the loggers, it was 6%, but it was 50,000.
Yes.
So that, those are drastically different numbers, 12
Yeah.
versus 50, so it can't be. Maybe the 12 was the 2%?
So I think what you're really wanting to know is, if you change to full benefits to commissioners, what's that maybe per commissioner cost, right? All in, retirement, health insurance, that's what you're probably looking at as an
Yeah, so
inquiry?
just, I guess I was doing the math. You said if the loggers was 6% and across all the commissioners, it was 50,000 annually. And now it's for the SURF, it's 4%. I don't know what that number is yet, but
It was $12,175.56
is 4%.
is the 4%.
So
So
then
that,
6%
what you're
can't be
looking at is,
50.
where you asked is what the 6%, that's one portion of it. The other portion on the backside is what we contribute as an employer. So with loggers, you got two contributions. So we chose as a county to take on the employer contribution as well as our contribution. So it's really a total of about 15% that you get, that you contribute per employee. So that's why you're seeing the difference of that 6%. So the amount I gave you of $6,933 per is more than just 6% of their salary. Is what it makes a total about 15% of their salary.
So the
15 to
annual,
19%.
so the annual total per commissioner is,
If you add loggers and,
Right.
I'll have to get that for you. And SURF.
So is that 62,000? 50
Yeah.
and 12?
Yeah, 50 and 12, yeah, about 62,000.
So not quite 10,000 per,
that's covering everybody.
That's covering everything.
for retirement.
For retirement.
And then
Yeah.
health insurance depends on your election, by the guess.
But I will say this, in order to do loggers, you have to have 1,000 hours certified. So it's got to show, so they pretty much have to punch a clock to show. They can't just say, I work 1,000 hours. It's a program, and with that also, you got to have 5 years of investment. So even though you may get elected the first time, if you don't go the second term and validate the 1,000 hours,
Yeah.
then they don't. So that's why Missouri loggers, most people don't do that as far as
Okay.
elected officials. But SURF is a requirement because you're part of that program. So we're part of that program as a county.
So it sounds to me Like loggers, probably not an option. SURF, already in place.
So it's just a health.
So what's the, yeah.
Let me interrupt real quick, because
Yeah.
I know Scott had, you had a question or a comment?
Yeah, I just have a question, comment, slash.
Roll.
I'm not saying the money's not important, but I think that what originated the argument or the issue was it was a fairness issue. In the Constitution, it says presiding commissioner is eligible for these benefits, and none of the other legislators are. And so I think that's the most important issue, is a fairness issue. And the money is important, but I have no doubt that if that's the direction that the county wants to go and be fair to all the legislators, then they'll find the money.
So how about thoughts on, I think we've narrowed it, so we're just talking about healthcare at this point. Who's in favor or not in favor, or what are y'all's comments on that?
I was wondering what's the cost to the county for the health care? Because it's probably by far the most expensive.
I'm sure.
Ask.
Yes,
Subsidize the health care for employees now?
Yes, quite a bit, actually. Much more so than your typical employer.
Yeah.
yes. So on average, about $15,300 per a commissioner would be what would be a subsidy. Well, is what the county would pay. And then the choice would be based off the commissioner of which plan they would like to go with, whether it's family, plus one, or just single.
Yeah.
And then if they don't, they can say, I don't want it at all, right?
Yeah, they can decide not to take it.
There's no cost.
No cost.
Right, and if I had to, speculate about the current commission, we certainly have at least a couple that would decline it because of a spouse or otherwise covered.
So is there something that gives them some value for that?
There used to be, but we did away with that program. So if I remember correctly, 15, 20 years ago, if you declined the coverage, I think they would just literally pay you money. And, it's an incentive not to sign up, essentially, and they thought that was a good approach, but we don't do that anymore, is my understanding.
So currently in the county, if you don't claim a benefit, then you don't get anything at all?
That's my understanding.
Gotcha.
So it's like an additional 90,000, is that what we just
Well,
heard?
depending on how much they-
Most.
Yeah,
Yep.
I mean, yeah.
On average, because that changes annually. That's on average.
What do y'all think about adding?
So we're talking about 150,000 total between retirement and healthcare. Right, I mean, today, in addition to.
Determine how it's going to be like,
Yeah.
whether or not it's fair to give all the ability to decide. So we just got a governmental chart. Has anybody seen anything we're being handed out that was requested earlier? Okay, so what do y'all think about adding that? Thinking, you, thoughts?
I'm for adding
Okay.
entitled, or allowing the rest of the commissioners to have the opportunity to select if they want to participate or not
In the healthcare.
in the healthcare. Absolutely, and all the benefits, same as the presiding commissioner.
Sure.
Make it even across the board.
Okay. Anything else? Anything else? Anybody? You guys?
I would support.
So I think we have, well, let's, public have any comments on that? I don't see any comments from the public, and I think that we've got a consensus on, what did we say, we're on. Healthcare's most expensive.
Well, we still have
207.
we still have the portion about the 12,000, right?
That's already been paid currently.
That's being paid already.
Currently,
CERF you're talking about?
yes.
No, sorry, you said we have consensus on the 05, but the other portion of 05 was the additional 12,000.
07.
Oh, sorry, 07, the additional compensation of
Oh,
12,000 per year. So before we close on 07,
Right.
yeah.
On the healthcare, I guess
Okay.
just specifically on the healthcare issue, I think we have consensus, so we want Kevin to put language together that adds that everybody gets the same healthcare.
Okay, I'm going to suggest, just for simplicity, that it not be limited to healthcare. I think we're saying access to benefits available to all county employees, and it's essentially the same thing, but if there's a benefit that comes out in the future, I don't want to parse it out too much. I think just access to benefits as available to other county employees makes the most sense to me.
So
But
I'm just
including
curious,
retirement.
are we opening up a
Yeah,
can?
well, if otherwise qualified. I mean, the question is, that Damon raises is that you might have to prove some eligibility, but if you're eligible, you're eligible.
Or these?
I mean, I think that's.
That would be a hard one
Yeah, I'd be
for the
interested
loggers.
to,
Only because of the proof.
600.
And theirs is a little different as far as our barrier getting involved in that one. You'll have to check this. That's one of the things they gave us back in 2021 was
Brian, you would.
the 1,000 hours and a couple of
Okay.
main things. So,
Good consensus on adding benefits equally to all members, correct?
Let's,
yeah.
yeah, but there was a question over here then about loggers as well, and so I want to,
We'll have to look at the loggers. We'll have to contact loggers and find out on that one. This was 2021, the communication back then, so we'll see what it says currently.
Does that change our consensus? On the benefit?
well, it certainly changes the cost to the county, right?
I'll check on loggers.
I'm sorry, what was the actual question on that, though?
Who had the question?
Taxes go
Okay.
Actually, is it time for public comment?
I just got the tail end of that, sorry.
Jay Johnson again. So my opinion on this is I don't think politicians should have any retirement. I don't think that should be part of our gig. SURF, we didn't expect to get that. That's required. So now I don't even know if we're eligible for it after 2 terms or if you have to have more than 2 terms. In other words, 8 years, is that more than 8 years or when you hit 8 years?
I mean, when you hit 8 years, but yeah, you're probably right. It's probably 8 years.
Because if it's more than 8, then you have to do 3 terms.
yeah.
But nonetheless, so we got that by just because the system said we have to have that. We didn't expect to get that. I'm not a big fan of politicians getting retirements. I just don't like that idea. I don't think the citizens should be on the hook for that. As for the benefits, so the loggers thing, to me, I prefer we didn't have that. For the benefits, as far as health, dental, that kind of stuff, that's certainly a nice perk to have. You guys know my story, it'd be a huge perk for me, but obviously you don't do it for any individual. You look at the numbers and is this the right thing to do? The presider gets it. Do you want equity like you're talking about, Scott, with everybody getting it? I mean, personally, I would love that, but to me, it should be just when they're in office, obviously, no extension past when they're out of office or anything like that, lifetime medical, anything like that. That would be a waste of taxpayer money, I think, so.
And there's no extension that I'm aware of healthcare benefits at the county level, correct? Once you're done with your employment, you can get Gold Road, that's it?
Yeah, there's no retirement health care benefit.
No.
No.
No, in fact,
Did you want to say something?
Jerry Nolte, presiding commissioner. I agree with Commissioner Johnson. Prior to our Constitution, all 3 commissioners did receive those benefits. It seems to me that is a fair way to go. It was something that we as commissioners at the time let the commission, the Constitution Commission do its work. So it wasn't something that I necessarily weighed in on, but I think as long as it is something that is not going to put an undue burden, but I think the fairness of it is pretty obvious that all commissioners should be able to access that particular benefit. And of course, when it comes to retirement benefits, we don't get an opt-out. So I mean, it's rather pointless to even consider it too deeply because we don't have an option.
No, I think,
Did you have a question for Dan? Oh, okay, sorry, go ahead.
no, Jerry, I think you also keep in mind that if a legislator doesn't want the health insurance, they don't have to take it if they feel that way either politically or they've got other resources. So, again, I think it's a fairness issue and they should have access to it if they need it.
I think every commissioner having the same option is probably not a bad thing. In fact, I think that seems rather fair, because you're right, there will be, in some cases, there will be some people in elective office who, say, have a spouse who has a superior health care plan, and they may well decide to go with that plan as opposed to the one offered by the governmental entity. So that's, I think if we can give that latitude, that would be probably the best way to go, but so your all's decision, not mine.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, so we have consensus on the healthcare.
Only healthcare.
Well, are we going to talk only healthcare or benefits across the board, like Kevin had just referenced? Benefits across the board. Okay. Same on this side? Okay, so we have a consensus, we need to get language on that.
Yes to benefits across the board?
Yes.
Okay.
And then we still need to address the $12,000. So let's throw
The 2.07.
Okay.
Compensation.
Yeah. So 2.07, we'll move to. And we had asked that we get some information on that, on 207. Yeah, the $12,000 per year in compensation. So I'll open that up to the committee for comment.
Yeah, I guess the discussion last time about 12,000 compared to what the salary is, this was maybe 30 or 30, yeah, 30+% or something.
39,000 in this, so he's probably at 51.
Okay.
Well, with 2%, he's at 50, presiding commissioner currently is at 53,769.84. And the remaining commissioners are all at $41,769.84. $41,769.84.
Yeah, do you know when that?
That was after the COLA, after the 2%.
They don't get the COLA. Oh, we'll have to address that separately, because they should be tied to the state reps.
Okay,
So if
so
the
maybe
state
that's
reps
after
don't
the state
move up.
reps. This is the numbers they gave me as far as.
Yeah, okay, so I'll talk to Kim about that, or
Yeah.
whoever's down the street. You should be at 39, unless the legislature has changed the state reps, which I don't know.
So maybe the state reps changed.
Okay,
But those are the numbers we currently have.
so right around 40, and then right around 52.
Yeah.
So then the question was, I guess, in line with the last discussion we had, okay, what drives a difference? Okay, we went through those items. I guess there was some comments that said, hey, for other places, they've seen the presiding in the 2,000 to 4,000 more range. So here were 12. And then as we went through the line items associated with the presiding commissioner, now we've made some adjustments to things from being a presiding commissioner role to now being a commission role. And so then the question is the 12 still appropriate, right? Or is something different?
Do you have a number? Do you have a number proposal?
Well, in thinking about this since the last discussion, I liked Bryant's proposal that rather than it be a number, that it's a percentage so that it moves along. And so
What percentage do you propose?
So then I think if we go in line with what other counties have, it's like, it would be, what, like 110 to 115 would fall in that
Percent?
range. So 15%, 10% more or 15% more, right? If it's 39 now, then that's adding, almost 4.
As opposed to 12 and 4,000.
Right. But as a percentage, because to that point last time, as the increases go up, then that you know, it doesn't just stay stagnant at 4 across the board.
So a couple of things. Do we have any documents on what these other counties are really doing? Facts? And then the other thing is, I would like to hear from the presiding commissioner what extra duties you have, because you want somebody in charge, obviously, and you want somebody to, obviously, you're going to be terming out here soon. We want somebody who wants to replace you because there is a little bit more pay versus taking on a lot of added responsibilities and not getting paid for it. So, I mean, we want to make that happy medium place. So I'm just saying, just like you said with the, you know, percentages, what does that look like and what are the extra duties? I know you have to go to every meeting, but do you mind just speaking on that to us as far as all the extra duties and
Do you want
things?
to go through 2 different topics? Do you want to start with that?
Yes, yeah, just so that we know what, yeah.
How much time is this?
How much time do you put in versus the normal commissioner?
This is the abnormal commissioner.
Yeah.
Jerry Nolte, presiding commissioner. I think, gosh, I appreciate being called normal. That's very kind. I certainly relish the compliment. I was not here at the previous meeting, so I don't know what duties may or may not have been proposed to be removed, so it's kind of hard for me to...
She's, I think, correct me if I'm wrong, but focused on what you do, what are your duties
Sure.
that are in addition to what all the other members are working on. Is that correct?
Right, because you're, yeah.
Yeah, I do a number of things. I attend basically board and commission meetings this morning. I was at the children's board meeting, so that was about 2 hours, I guess, and I don't attend all of the boards and commissions, but I try to get the ones that have the meatier part of it. Also in the course of going through and coming up with nominations for the different boards and commissions, I spend time with obviously the administrator as is constitutionally required, but for instance this morning I spent some time with the chairman of the children's board trying to get an idea of what it is they are looking for when it comes to, and I already had conversations along these lines, what they are looking for as far as a new member, because they have a vacancy. So what we do is what I do, I should say, is I ask not just about qualifications, but I try to investigate the skill sets they're looking for. So what, you know, are they looking for someone who has an accounting background or that has a particular skill or a legal background? Obviously, I spend time with the administrator going through all that. I'm just kind of going through this a little bit. Clearly, I have to do a state of the county address every year. That takes some time, but again, these are all things that kind of add up. Now, do they add up to where $12,000 is the appropriate compensation? That's really going to be for you guys to decide, and that's why you want me up here. Obviously, is to kind of give that to you. And this goes with the pro tem. Actually, we have every month we have pro tem meetings. So we kind of sit down, go through the agenda, kind of see what's coming up, and it's not so much deciding what goes on or off, it's almost more of a traffic cop kind of a thing. So there are a lot of those kinds of duties. Also, I am to make myself available if there are pressing queries. I am generally designated as the person who has to go forward and do that, not exclusively, but by and large, that would be who has to perform those duties. So yeah, those are a lot of them right there. I'm just kind of glancing through this list, but yeah, officiate and preside at all meetings and events. So I'm supposed to show up at as much as I can. Pretty much everything would be the ideal, but obviously one cannot be at absolutely every meeting just from the point of view of sometimes they overlap and I don't have the opportunity. So that's kind of a lot of what the time I do takes. Also, as presiding commissioner, I've made at least one trip this year down to Jefferson City to talk about issues. And I spent time last fall talking with the chairman of the property tax interim committee, I guess it was, about what he was planning to do. So we spent time there, and also I spent time with him at the MAC conference that I went to. It was, Joanna, you were at that as well, weren't you? So we were the only two that went. Scott, okay, sorry about that. So, yeah, most of the time, not most of the time, I am supposed to be the one to go there, and I really love to have other commissioners go with me, but my view of it is it's more optional for them. For me, it's kind of, I'm supposed to do it. So that's, I don't know that that's spelled out, but that's the kind of stuff that I do that takes some of the time, that is more than I would as a standard commissioner. There are also boards that I am required to serve on. For instance, I serve on the MARC board, because that is, according to their bylaws, that is required that I be the one serving on that. I do have an alternate, but it is my job to be there. So, let's see, I was there, it's usually about 2 hours, 2.5 hours.
How often do you do that?
Monthly. And then if there are interim meetings or interim things that have to be done, and there's usually not that many, but if something should come up as an interim meeting, then that's my responsibility to be there for that. I think that kind of covers a lot of it. There are other things, and as Bryant knows, as a mayor or as a presiding commissioner, you get to be kind of the designated guy to do stuff. Yeah, it's like nobody wants to do it. Let's get Jerry. So that's just part of the duty as with yourself when you were mayor. Is we got to send somebody. All right, grab Bryant, pop him in his car, and send him on his way.
So yours is more of a full-time position versus meeting weekly for just the board meeting versus a normal commissioner?
Yeah, I don't. Yeah.
As far as requirements.
It varies so much because, some weeks, it's rather full-timey. Sometimes it's not. So I would hesitate to actually designate it as a hard 40-hour-a-week kind of thing because I think that's not consistently yet. But it's more like being on salary. So if you're an employee of a company and you're on salary, you're supposed to be there. So I mean, there are a lot of weekends that we are all at things, and I am as well, but usually a bit more so. So if there is an event going on or something like that on a Saturday, usually not much on a Sunday, it is generally, I should be there, and I try my best to attend as many of those as I possibly can.
Thank you.
Any follow-up questions?
No.
Can I talk to Jerry?
Yeah. Thank you, Jerry.
No, if there's nothing that you folks were on for me, I'm good.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
One last thing I would add, though, and that is, I think we came up, one of my duties is, of course, on the boards and commissions to nominate people. I don't know where you guys came down on that, but I would recommend, if you could, to reach out to the boards and commission members, and particularly the chairs, and to get their feelings on how this worked. We had a situation prior to this present commission being, prior to our constitution, we ended up through, because of the fact that all commissioners could pretty much nominate whoever they wanted for boards and commissions, we ended up having an airport commission with 18 members, as opposed to the usual complement of around 9. It took us a couple of years to straighten that out because they were also put in place without the staggering of their terms. So one of the things that we had to do with that board in particular was to not only cull it down to a manageable number, but we had to also go back and try to figure out, and Damon obviously did a yeoman's job, and so did his predecessor, on making sure that we staggered terms as they needed to be, and it takes a little bit of noodling around. So, thank you.
Thank you. Yes, sir.
So, Commissioner Jason Withington, sorry I wasn't here last week. So I want to thank you guys for everything you do. Brian, thanks for being my appointment. Hey, so I don't want anybody to think that the rest of the commissioners are part-time. Joanne is at, I don't know, she goes to meetings every week, or every day. She's just as busy, if not busier than Jerry. I go to neighborhood meetings, meet with our constituents every week. So I don't want anybody to think the associate commissioners are part-time. We work just as much as Jerry, if not more sometimes. The pay doesn't bother me. I don't care if we get 12,000 more or whatever. I don't do this for the money. I just want that to be said. And then I do think the rest of the commission should be able to weigh in on board appointments, nominations. We run into a lot of problems where people, pretty small Rolodex, right? Where we're just giving jobs or appointments to political friends that they think they will scratch my back, and everything. So I think the commission needs to have more of an input when it comes to board appointments. A lot of these are just regular citizens that want to serve, but because they don't have the correct friend, they're not getting picked up. We got people, PhDs, that would be great for boards, but because they're not politically connected, they're being passed over. But yeah, I just want to thank you guys, for everything you guys are doing, choosing to serve here today. But I don't want anybody to leave here and think that the associate commissioners do less than the presiding commissioner. We do just as much, if not more than the presiding commissioner, and we work just as hard as he does. And, I may not go to meetings and have a busy calendar, but I'm meeting with constituents every day, going to neighborhood association meetings in the Western District where I represent. So, yeah, we're not part-time either, so.
Thank you. Yeah. Before you leave, if you don't mind, are there any questions of him from the committee? Okay, thank you, sorry. Thank you. Okay. Yes, sir.
It's me again. Jay Johnson. Real quickly, the kind of follow up. With any elected position, you can put as much into it, as little into it as you really want. And as I mentioned, Joanne's working over 40 hours a week. However, having said that, I do support the idea of the presiding commissioner having some kind of increase. I think, although some of the stuff we put on ourselves as far as how much we do, and I think Joanne takes on a lot more than she needs to, there are certain things that the presider just has to do just by way of his position that he can't. He just has to do that. I actually really like James's idea of tying a percentage to it, because that way it stays relevant. So you don't have to come back, every so often and change the Constitution. I think, like you said, you put a percentage to it, and it moves with the increases as well, and with the markets and that kind of stuff. So I'm supportive of that, and I think the 12,000 is. I'm not stuck on the 12,000, but I think that's a fair, whatever percentage that is. I think it's fair, but. I do think there should be some more for the presider.
Any questions for him before he's? Okay, thank you, sir. Yeah, sure. Please.
Joanne Lawson again. I don't think that the presiding commissioner should make as much as it is extra. But I, like Commissioner Johnson, feel that there should be an additional amount given, but I would like to see it as a percentage. If you look at some of the other counties, I went in and looked at a lot of the sheriff, the prosecutor, the presiding commissioners, and for those that are in large counties that are bigger than we are, the amount given to the presiding commissioner is substantially less than ours gets. Population is bigger, so I think that it is fair. There's things he has to go to. He doesn't have a choice in it. I go because I want to go and I feel like that's what I should do. But he has to go sometimes. So give him a percentage. It doesn't have to be sky high, but I think that he does deserve a percentage of his salary. So that would be great, whatever y'all decide to fix it at.
Anybody have any questions for? Oh, thank you. That's it. Thank you.
I have a question for, I believe, Kevin. You were on the original charter committee, correct?
Yes,
How did you land on 12,000? You might have told us last meeting.
I did.
just don't remember.
Yeah, 1,000 a month extra.
There we go. He did the second. There we go.
Yep.
Thank you for refreshing my. I should have watched the last meeting before I came to this one. Okay.
Any other committee comments on that subject?
I guess we all generally agree that there is an increase. What we're stuck on now is what that amount is. How do we do that?
Yeah, do we want to go to a percentage? And if so, what's fair? Any thoughts on that?
Well, I've got a question. So just looking up the what the a typical presiding commissioner makes in Missouri. And there's a statute that says they're capped at $2,000 a year, right? If you're a non-charter, right?
2,000 more.
2,000 more.
More than the
anyone else.
associates.
Correct,
Yes,
right,
yes, yes.
As a presiding. So we're at 12 right now going in. So we're way over the average. So how much higher do we want to build in that average to grow versus, I mean, we're already 6 times already. So I don't know if you want to factor that in as we're thinking about changing that to a percentage-wise, because right now the percentage is huge. But obligation-wise, percentage is extremely low.
Because it is, I know I came up with throughout the percentage idea at one point, but I do, ultimately, we're going to have a document that's approved by the voters as well. So trying to make sure that we have language in there. That's, I don't know, every once in a while, it's like 12,000 is a fixed number that people understand. If you start putting 120, 130% in a document, do people feel different? I don't know. I'm just throwing that out there too. I do think we have to continuously remember kind of the end goal of what we're doing here as well. But yes, I'm good either way.
Yeah, if you're looking for comparables, I don't have the numbers, but I would just suggest, look at comparable counties. Don't look at the class 3, class 4 counties that are super small, agricultural type counties with 10,000 people. Look at, Greene and St. Charles and maybe Platte and some of the St. Louis ones. But there's certainly a handful, but that's who I'd suggest to look at.
And these were the ones, at least I was looking at, and it was in that 2,000, and then maybe they could gain 2 more for some training. And
Well, so that's in the statute, and that should be all other counties. That should not be the first-class counties. If it's in Chapter 50.
It was non-chartered first-class counties is what I was looking at. Maybe that's what you're looking at as well.
Yes.
So the question is, and Brian, I was about to just throw you the credit for the percent idea, but you just...
I mean, I don't think it's a bad idea still, but it's not towards how you get people to vote on agree something that...
And here's what's interesting about that is that while the number 12 is clear to people, what I think wasn't clear, at least to me in starting this, was understanding the salary of the commissioner to start with, because it's written nowhere in here, right? So 12 doesn't seem like a big number until you compare it to the salary. Right. And then all of a sudden, percentage-wise, it jumps way up, right? And so that's what I think, when I think about $1,000 a month, that it doesn't sound too bad, but the commissioners are only making just over, $2,000 a month, right? And so then it's the question about, well, what should it be? And looking at other presiding for these additional items, that's where it seems to fall in Missouri to that 2 to 4 range. So it's...
I'm never opposed to tabling yet again to do more research on what other counties make and get a more robust list as well. I hate to punt too many things too often, but if we need more time to review that as well.
Do you want us to reach out to the other counties?
Oh, yeah.
To get the...
We are getting to you here.
So first class charter.
Yeah.
Yeah, very...
Maybe, probably not Jackson County. I mean, they're kind of a different setup and they're kind of so big. I mean,
population over 5,000, some compare.
What's that? I thought they had, so like, I think St. Charles, Greene, Boone probably makes sense. Is Boone charter? So Boone's not, if they're not charter, we probably should just look at first-class charter, I would think, because they're the ones that are setting it that way.
All right, why don't we
Is that
table
okay?
it, table
Okay.
the next one and under that constraint. Please.
Here we go.
Does that leave 205?
205 is all, yeah, 205 is left. So let's move on to 205, term limits. We had tabled that. We talked about adding a 16-year limit. So let's open that back up for discussion this time for the committee, please. We had talked about putting a straight term, a straight number on
Right.
it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I thought we decided it was 4 consecutive, or 2 consecutive 4 was 16.
Well, wait, the question were about, does that mean served or elected, right?
Yeah, so right now it is, you can serve 2 terms in your office, and you can serve a total of 4 terms combined out of all the offices,
Which is 16.
intending to be 16.
Right.
So the question was, what if you serve half a term? Does that count or not, and do you get to go serve another term? I mean,
Right, so we said 16 would cap that.
16 would cap it.
That's what
Yeah, definitely thinking about it more over the last week, the public comments, I thought it was really good. They just said, why not just add that 16 as the limit? I thought, that's a pretty simple way of doing it, right? But then I was wondering, are there other things in here that make that number wishy-washy? But the fact is, I personally think 16 is
Yeah.
enough.
Yeah, the answer is yes. I mean, if somebody really wants to game the system and retire 6 months before their term ends, they can, and then we're doing hard math and calculators,
Yeah.
I mean, I would suggest, I don't know it's a problem, so I don't know that I would create a solution to something that isn't a problem yet, but you can, if you want to put the 16 in, you certainly can.
I think we should table it since I didn't do my homework. And bring it to you before you all.
Is that-
as far as the effective term.
Is that 8 years
So you want to table it?
period? You can't like take a year off and come back.
All right, I've
You
got-
can do,
We've got
can
a
do
request to table it.
okay.
Yeah, table it again, to do a little more research, so let's table that as well.
Okay.
Please.
These, do you want these to come back next week, or do you need a little more time?
Just keep,
I can do it by next week, I'm just gonna do it this past week.
Okay,
Next week.
okay. So we didn't table anything out of 3, so that's okay. I mean, I think we're okay there. So you want a little bit of internal research over there on 205, on 207, we are gonna get a salary study of some numbers. Okay, perfect.
Okay. So back to our. All right, county administrator comments. Moving to number 6.
well, actually, our next 2 items will be, we're going to do 4.
That'll be next week, right?
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, we have 4. And we already got it scheduled for 3:25, so I don't have any comments tonight. It's good. Other than if you want to go ahead and schedule meeting number 4 after that holiday time frame, which will put you at first week of April.
You guys want to do that while we're here?
I think, yeah, we need to.
And based off the crowd you had earlier, you might want to buckle your seatbelts, because I think that was
That
Article 5.
Yeah, they're on 5. Are we doing 4 and 5?
No,
No.
we just do,
Yep.
just 4 would be
Next time, so then the next time in April.
5, yeah.
we may be- And we're doing 5 and 6. Is that right?
We have that on our schedule to do that, and I always can bump one if we need to. I think before you were saying April, that Tuesday in April was a potential,
The 7th?
yeah.
So it says the room's not available, but
Yeah, the 7th.
Oh, that is
Yeah,
election
it's
day.
election day.
Are you?
There's only one issue on the ballot, I'm told. That's it.
I don't think Liberty has anything, I don't think. Yeah.
And Wednesday wasn't good.
How about a Thursday the 9th?
Yeah, that's our commission.
We meet,
Oh, it's Thursday.
I mean, we could meet, but we need to be out by 5:30. We could do 4 to 5:30, for sure. I
Yeah.
think, but
We could.
We can say that again, I'm sorry.
we could meet at 4 and be done by 5:30. So county commission's at 6, so we probably need to be done about 5:30.
Okay, let's do that.
What date is that?
The 9th.
Do you want to start any earlier?
I was just gonna say, you want to do 3:30? Can you guys do 3:30? 4.
4 to 5:30 on the 9th.
4 to 5:30? Okay. And we won't put an end time on it. We'll just have 5:30, 5:40 range. We're still going. We'll just have to adjourn. How long does that take? I don't know. I apologize.
Yeah,
I should
30
have asked
minutes.
that. So we'll do a hard stop at 5:30?
5:30, yeah.
Okay.
Okay. And then we've got county council comments.
Only comment I have is next week, we are talking about the elected office holders, which is prosecutor, sheriff, auditor, and assessor. I assume you'd like us to invite all 4 of those folks?
Please.
Yeah, so Randy, can you get an email out to those 4? Perfect.
Any other comments?
That's all I got.
Any motions to recess and adjourn?
Well, can we come back to the meeting calendar? I know we set the one ahead, but things, can we talk about mid to late April? Because it seems things get pretty congested.
So you want to move beyond the April 9th and schedule something?
Or at least talk about, because I think you, right, have Wednesdays that don't work, right? And then I will not be available week 17 or week 18, I would be available.
What do you mean?
He's
Sorry.
talking about the 26th through the,
Yeah, the weeks are on the side here, so unavailable from the 20th through the 30th.
So we need to get something on for the week 16, which is April 13th.
Mm-hmm.
or you want to try to,
Well, so we'll have our 4th meeting on the 9th.
Go into our 5th on 14.
Can we have our 5th on week 16?
Yeah, 14th, April 14th. Does that work for?
Yep.
Yeah, does that work for you guys? Okay, so we'll go the 14th at 4 o'clock. Yeah, 4 o'clock.
And then if we're on schedule, that will be the end of our first run through the document, right?
Yep.
Okay.
that might be good, because then I can give you a couple weeks to kind of
Right.
review.
Yeah.
Yep.
And
That's,
then maybe come back the first week of May,
Yeah.
if you got any. And then if.
And then maybe at
language-
that point, we'll think about like a first draft of what we are hearing about comments, so you guys can start digesting that as well and put it together.
Because you said the consideration for the ballot language, we need, those dates are like May 26th or.
Right, so yeah,
and so
yes.
we still have
We're
time
very
in May
flexible,
to-
we're very good,
Okay.
yes. It's the
Okay.
end of May to the very beginning of June is our, kind of our sweet spot there.
Okay. So meeting 5, week 16, and then maybe not meet again until the beginning of May.
Yes. Any other comments from anybody? How about a motion to recess?
I move.
I'll move to adjourn.
Second.
All right. Adjourned.
Yeah, that's, I didn't want to recess.
So, buddy, I'm good.